So you're welcome. Please, can you show if you can hear me well? Please unmute and speak if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Unmute and speak if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, I don't know. Okay, let me check. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. What of now?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Let me, I don't know why.
Good evening, Daddy.
Good evening, Sister Itodo. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
How you doing?
Quite a long time, Daddy.
Yes, it's been quite a while.
Good evening, Debbie. How are you?
Good evening, ma.
Wow. How is your husband? How is the family? How are the kids?
Fine, ma. Fine, ma.
Nice hearing your voice again.
Thank you, ma. Yes, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mommy.
The Bishop Friday himself.
It's well.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening, Mommy.
Okay. Trust God, you're all doing well.
We thank God, yes, we are.
Thank God. And the children,
They're doing fine too.
we give God praise. Thank God.
Yes, how are my younger ones, ma?
They are fine. They are fine. We bless God.
All right, once regards to them.
Okay, dear. Thank you.
All right. No, we can use one device.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, Daddy, we can use just one device, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right. Let's use this one.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. I can see you by the seaside
Sorry.
in sunny Orlando.
Yes, so.
All right, brethren, I think we are ready to start. We will not wait because we don't have the luxury of time. But I am going to record the session for join us late. So, like I mentioned in many of the communication, today we are going to have a discussion, a chat, an interview with friends and brethren who have been able to explode a myth that many of us have. In the course of discussion with many people have generally tended to attribute the troubles they have in their marriage to the fact that they are from different backgrounds. So I have arranged a series of these interviews to hold sessions with couples who have different backgrounds but have outstanding marriages, to help all of us learn from their experience so that we can improve our own marriages. So today we'll be doing the first set. And incidentally, in our church this weekend is the family weekend. We rounded up today. Yesterday, in the Scripture Union, there was a couples dinner. We have sessions for couples, talks and all that. So I think it's quite a special time that we're going to have, even though it's short. Let me introduce our guest so that we can start. Bernard and Ron Ogoke are Nigerian-American Christians. Bernard graduated from the University of Nigeria in 1990. He studied education biology, taught in some schools, and then worked with Exxon offshore for a while before he transferred fully into Christian missions work, what we call full-time ministry. The turning point was when he went for a crusade as a student in 1988, and there he saw real human sacrifice as part of idol worship. And then at the end of the crusade, he could see the same people, many of them troop out to give their life to Christ, and he was very angry. And we know why. And most of us would also react the same way, because here were people who killed other people for sacrifice and then turned around to give their life to Christ and escape the consequences, just like Jonah. But that pursued him and led to his eventual decision in 1995 to leave what we call secular employment, although for a Christian, there's nothing like that. To leave what we call secular employment and go full time. So in that 1995, he joined Campus Crusade. It operates as by a different name in Nigeria and worked in various areas. It was in the course of that they met. Ron, on the other hand, studied cross-cultural. Let me just be sure I get it right. Yeah, intercultural education, and graduated in 1991. From her first year in school, she was interested in missions work, especially in supporting Bible translation. So in 1999, she transferred to the field, eventually to Nigeria, to support the work by teaching children of missionaries. It was in the course of that that they met, she met with Bro Bernard, and they agreed to marry in January. They married in January 2004. So by January next year, they would have clocked 20 years. So can we congratulate them ahead of time? 20 years is no joke. So from 2007 till 2017, they when they transferred to US, and then came back to Africa. They've served in Ghana, they served in the Gambia, they served in Nigeria, and then Guinea-Bissau before returning to the US in 2017. At the moment, they are working from Orlando, Florida, where they live, and both of them are serving with Campus Crusade. Bernard is part of the global expansion project engaging African immigrants in North America with the gospel by means of the Jesus themes in various languages. Towards the end of this, they will have a brief moment to let us really know what Campus Crusade does. Ron, on the other hand, works in the prayer team. You can just see it on her face. So, gentlemen and ladies, can we all join our hands together as we welcome Ron and Bernard Ugwoke?
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a very detailed introduction.
Yes, you are welcome. It seems your sound isn't loud enough. Can everybody hear us well? If you can hear us well, can you raise your hand using the...
I can hear you very well.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
But
yeah, but I mean hearing you.
Okay, you're not hearing us
okay,
well.
people are hearing you well, so I think that's fine. I can hear you, but I thought it ought to be louder, but it's okay. If others are hearing you, it's fine.
Okay.
All right, so let's just go in. Please, if you have a question, you can put it on the chat. If you have a question, you can put it on the chat, but we have 12 questions. That's a whole lot. 1,000 questions for them to answer. So I would throw the question. Whoever starts first, the other can always fill in. Like I said before, we may also have to come up with follow-up questions if your answers require. So the first question is, how did each of you prepare for marriage, both before and after you met each other and agreed to marry?
Okay.
10 marks.
10 marks. All right. Well, first of all, thank you, bro Emmanuel, for this. Our connection dated back UNN. He was my prayer leader. We were in the same prayer cell every Wednesday, going to Physics Observatory to pray. He mentored me in prayer, and then see the result now. Yeah, when I finished school and youth service, I wasn't really thinking marriage at all until all of a sudden, you know, I found myself getting advanced in age. I was like, marriage is something to consider. Marriage is something to consider. It's scriptural. So I was just praying and believing God for. So directly to your question, where we met was in Jos, Nigeria, in a crisis management seminar. A crisis management seminar where all missionaries have been called. to attend a crisis because of the riot between Christians and Muslims. Well, when we first saw ourselves, it was like, well, she's somebody I would marry. But she wasn't thinking that at all. So that's a whole series. In fact, we are skipping that aspect because from the word go, I knew that this is the one, but she didn't know at all. She started praying to be sure, and that took a long time. And eventually, when it was agreed, when we agreed, eventually, it took a while, and that story is reserved. So we started we informed our immediate boss in our organization, mission organization, not only that you have to marry a Christian, but you have to marry somebody in ministry, and you have to marry somebody who is in the same ministry with you, So it's not a question of, oh, she's in Wycliffe, I am in Crew, Campus Crusade. No, we are in ministry, but we have to be in one organization. So it was like, if I decide to we both of us could agree to go on Wycliffe or come to Campus Crusade, and she eventually accepted to come over to Campus Crusade. So because we felt that our combined gift work best. In Great Commission, that's what they call it in West Africa. So when that was agreed, then a whole level of preparation was started. She has to be trained to become a staff of Campus Crusade. And in doing that training, you have to go to your passport country. All right. So I'm assigned as a marital counselor, a staff to help us get through expectations in marriage. So it was only after that we now started talking about marry, traditional. And anyway, you can feel it. So
Yeah, so the preparation for marriage beforehand, I mean, my husband's already talked about the premarital counseling, but before we met, preparation really was just following after the Lord. I had a philosophy that if I was running the race God had set out for me, if while I was running, somebody was running by my side, then maybe that would be the one he had for me. And that's more or less what happened. I had accepted a position in Nigeria. I was teaching in support of Bible translation, as you said, at the Hillcrest School in Jos. And then actually just a little before this conference where we met, I also had begun to say, wow, Lord, it would be nice if somebody found me. I'm also getting advanced in age, and that's the women will know especially that our biological clock, as they say, is a little more limited. So I began to just kind of open that door, talk with the Lord about that. Not in a real stressed way that, I wasn't really burdened, but just kind of like, wow, Lord, this would be nice. And then we met. So in our particular case, as he said, there was took me a while to be convinced that he was the one, and so forth. But once I felt like, okay, I really think he might be the one. I wasn't completely convinced yet, but I was like, okay, I'm kind of a methodical person. If I'm gonna marry him and potentially leave the mission I'm in and transfer to the mission he was with, because I came out with Wycliffe Bible Translators, and he was serving with Campus Crusade, known as Great Commission Movement. I asked some people that I knew, what do you have about Campus Crusade? Let me really learn even more about them. I knew a little, to see if it's a place that I also feel called to be a part of. And then I also there were other American or expatriate women married to Nigerians. I started talking to 2 or 3 of them to see what advice they might have to offer, or what inputs they would have if this is something I really wanted to get into or not. So that was all part of my process in preparing to marry.
Thank you both very much. Can we then say that you really did not have let me use the word formal. You really did not have a formal preparation or consciously prepare before you met each other?
Yes, that to me there was no preparation to marry cross-culturally. It was just an open prayer to God. Please, I need a wife, and God, everything surrounding the organization and mission and all this. So I wasn't really praying particularly to be a cross-culturally married person, but was open to whoever God brings.
Okay. Ron, what about you? Women are almost always prepared right from...
Yeah, no, it's similar. I just wanted someone who loved Jesus. Loved Jesus very well. That was my top priority. And God answered very well with that one. Yeah, the only formal aspect, was once we had agreed and our organization had a premarital counseling requirement that before any staff got married, they would go through premarital counseling.
Looking back now, how beneficial do you think that counseling from the organization was?
Yeah, I think it's actually very beneficial in a way, because you are not just marrying for the sake of establishing a family, but you are also marrying somebody into the plans and purposes of God that He has called you. So I know with that also comes some challenges, because in Nigeria, I remember then, there were many single staff ladies. There were many matchmakers, It's just almost automatically assumed that if you are in Great Commission, and a single person, that of course you're going to marry the other person who is also single. And, that was, a lot. And some people were really some people fence. I'm saying that this is your feet and you are not agreeing. And these are senior people that one respect. So, but it's just knowing exactly that this is the person that God has called both of us together. As I said initially, when she didn't feel that, this is what she will, I didn't know that she was also praying for a marriage then. But that time, I know that's a way women just mask their feelings. I was ready to marry at the first sight. But when she was doing that, I had to separate myself. I told my boss that she should give me time. Give me time off from ministry. Let me go and pray. And he said, pray for what? He said, I pray for marriage. Honestly, I'm now serious about marriage. Those who are around in ministry, you know, there's no kind of, what do we call it, attraction. They are good Christian sisters, but somehow this check is just there. And this one that I feel God has said yes to me, it's not interested. I said, what is going on? I said, okay, give me time. So he gave me time. I went to Okigwe Camp of Faith, you know, and spent time there, 3 days praying and fasting. And so I believe it was from there, the Lord just gave me assurance that, hey, this woman is your wife, but you have to be patient. You have to be patient. I said, okay. I carried my bag and went home happy. So with all her emails and everything that she will write, I'll write something, you know, just something soft, and she will reply with something that is. So I'm focusing my teaching my children, and I have this to do. I'm focused on. So, but with that assurance, God said, just be patient. I was taking everything in good faith until I think 2003, right? 2003. The very first email that she wrote that I said, you know, she just from nowhere wrote that, well, school is closing, and she has 3 options where to go. Number 1 is to stay in Jos, or to go to Yankari Game Reserve, or to come to the East to visit some Bible translators. What do I suggest? I say, wow, it's asking me this kind of question. I was like, by all means, come to the East to visit Bible translators. So that was my first clue that, you see, something is happening in her heart as well. So, yeah. So to answer that question, you know, working with the organization policy, I benefited from it. It helped me, not just to be searching widely and then, you know, and then if there is any little hitch, to just say, oh, after all, there are this and there are that. So, yeah, the policy is helpful, and I would like it to, although they are changing small aspect of it now. They say, okay, even if your wife, your spouse is not in ministry, is not in the same ministry, you know, you can also apply to be a staff. So, which, I mean, what year did they change that? I think within the last 4 or 5 years, things started changing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So, Ron, what do you have? Anything to add?
Not exactly, but I would say the premarital counseling was helpful. Both the content wasn't unique. It was the same content that any staff would go through, whether they were cross-cultural or not. But the couple that took us through it was an American couple that had served in Nigeria for many years. So they were familiar with both Nigerian culture and American culture.
And me and Bible also, I think they were.
Yeah, well, we met with some other people too. But that was not
married to a German. No,
yeah.
They still had to make inputs. We were referred to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that whole process was helpful to just think through some of the things we might encounter and how we would anticipate acting. I mean, I think all of us here are married, right?
Yeah.
So we know that, you know, what you think will happen is not always what actually happens, but to have a little pre-thought was useful.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then the next question is, when it became clear that okay, I think I won't bother with that because the preparation we've been talking about a cross-cultural marriage. So even the counseling address that. But the next one is, what are the areas that your differences of culture after all this counseling and all the prayers? What are the areas that your differences of culture have presented the greatest challenge?
Yeah, there are many. There are many. Number one is language, even accent. So I don't know whether I will get out of it. Accent sometimes is is still difficult. Well, no longer as before. Well, remember many times I've just said, repeat that again, repeat that again, repeat that again. And when he says that, I say, oh, okay. And of course, my own accent, we Africans, we have a very strong accent. Even now when I talk, especially elderly people, they say, oh, can you say that again? Sorry, I have a hearing. I say, I know it's not your hearing. I have an accent. I have an accent. So that is always constantly. And even when her parents were alive, the father struggles a lot. How the mom? He has been like, oh, let me just at least improve my accent, improve it. So I keep working on it. I remember it was a time I was with the father in the storage unit. So we were looking for this humidifying machine that if the room is dry, you can pour water in it so that the whole room will be humid.
Okay.
So
humidifier.
So I was looking for it, and so I was like, I asked him, give me that humidifier. Bring that humidifier from the storage. He was alarmed. I said, what? Where? What? Which fire? So how he understood it was like, I said, who made the fire? Who made the fire? So he was like, fire, where? Fire. I said, who made the fire? He said, which fire? So how could I have said that? I saw the old man very alarmed, and in many, many things, something that you think is just a normal thing to say. So that is one little challenge. And of course, a whole lot of cultural issue like food. We have just to be blending, learning and leaning and blending. And I know she also has it, but she has blended more than me. When we were in Africa, especially in Nigeria, they say, oh, this woman is just having a white skin covering her. She's a Nigerian in heart. It does that her skin is white. So cooking our food and everything. So yeah. I like to tell you a story. So what challenge? Yeah.
Well, in some ways, I'd say almost the opposite answer. I mean, there have been some different adventures that are created because we're in different cultures, but it's not a challenge per se. I mean, anyway, but I'll give a different story. A time pretty early in our marriage that he wasn't happy with me. And so he kind of went back to trying to deal with it in a Nigerian way. And he said he wasn't interested in eating. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, because my father, if he wants to, express anger that he's not happy with my mom, we just not eat her food. So I thought so I thought that was it. Let me register myself, that my annoyance with her. I refuse to eat.
So I didn't react. And I was like, didn't you notice that I didn't eat?
For 3 days, so.
And I was like, yeah, I thought you were fasting. Like, So he was like, all right, this is an American woman. She's not going to react the same way. It's not going to. So, yeah. So there have been little instances here and there where we realize, okay, this is culture that we're experiencing, not just something else.
Okay, so I think I would like to maybe Aaron, you have to teach Nigerian women to react the same way. Whenever the husband refuses to eat, they should just assume he's fasting. So they will. All right. You're both missionaries at heart and practice. How has your faith affected your relationship?
Hmm.
Well, one key item, and this actually in some ways came out even before we wedded. My parents had divorced, and my stepmom was not a believer, and she was a psychologist, which may not make all that different, but just the academic mindset, and to have that framework. So in our communication and things, my husband had written, divorce. I can't remember how he put it. He didn't just say divorce wasn't an option. Maybe divorce isn't part of my vocabulary.
No, I said divorce is not in a dictionary. Divorce is not in a dictionary.
And she took it literally. This was still before we so it was like in our preparation time. I was in the States getting some things ready, and he was in Nigeria till just a couple weeks prior to the wedding. So we're on a walk, and she's like, so do they not have a word for divorce in Igbo? And I was like, oh. Anyway, long and short, she was assuming that, it was a literal thing, and I had to explain it. No, it's a spiritual thing. It's a theological decision. That the divorce is not an option because God doesn't like it, and that's not our intent. And so from the very beginning, we were ready to work through whatever came our way. That's we would just keep going to the Lord and work things out.
Yeah, I would say that our faith has really been everything. I know somebody will ask question, but even those who are not Christians, they have a very happy, fruitful marriage. But I would say in our case, it has been the driving force, like keeping us in focus, in check. That this is, a couple is made for something that glorifies God in this aspect. Marriages are from God, but identifying it that this is what I have called both of you for. So he has played a role in everything, choice of where to live, where to minister, what kind of involvement that we do. So almost I would say everything.
Another way that it plays out is, again, from the beginning, we said, okay, we want to focus on what the Bible says.
Right.
So if there's a difference between us, whether it's because of our upbringing, our cultures, or just any decision, we want to do what God wants, what God has said. I am American, and so women tend to be pretty bold and, but the whole idea is God does talk about women submitting. And so that's what we did. That's what we do. As much as possible. Not that I am perfect in these things.
Well,
But
you're doing well.
but
All right.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ron. I think I mentioned, I think I mentioned to you in our previous discussion that I saw statistics research report that indicated that, or that showed that the highest rate of divorce in North America is among Protestant evangelicals. But thank God for what you have said, and these are also evangelicals who have thrown divorce out of the vocabulary. Is not part of the consideration. We work things out. And it's not just that your things are not going well, but we've said we'll stay, so we'll die here. That's not the case. So you worked out and it's obvious. So for you once again. Now, if you were to boil everything down to a few points, what will make a cross-cultural marriage, or in fact any marriage? But I know that cross-cultural marriages pose their own, bring additional dimensions of issues. But if you were to boil everything down to a few points, what would you say have helped you the most in your marriage?
Yeah, just what she mentioned now, honestly, just loving Jesus, putting Jesus above self, in fact, above everything. That is just the one single answer I can give. That when it comes to anything, the priority is about God, His Word, before even considering ministry and any other thing.
Okay. So, Ron?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'll just add a kind of practical aspect of it. When we're keeping God as the focus and His Word, one of the ways it plays out is, what issues, if any, we let really be important. If we're looking through that lens, a lot of things, we can just overlook. We can forgive more easily because we know it, they're not eternal. And we can work through things more easily because of that.
Can you take that again?
When we're looking at eternity,
Yeah,
and God's Word as our focus, then a lot of other things, become less important. And we don't need to, say, oh, it has to be my way, it has to be this way. And we say, okay, this thing is not going to be that long. We're about the Lord. So, yeah, I think that's helped us to just overlook some things and be more forgiving with Christ as our focus.
so this again for you, Ron, if you were talking to just if we were all women in cross-cultural marriages, what would you say to us?
Yeah, I think we have the same theme. I think our answer is kind of the same, almost regardless of the question. There are times that our differences, the differences that we might experience in a cross-cultural marriage come up, but that, those differences really aren't the main thing. And this is somewhat separate, but I was, thinking back to one of the couples that I mentioned that I spoke with, one of the women married to another American woman married to a Nigerian man. When I spoke with her before accepting his proposal, I was like, oh, is there anything I need to be aware of? Is there anything that's more unique about a cross-cultural marriage? And she's like, no, I don't think there is, because everybody is blending a family. She said, I think it's in some ways easier because the differences are so obvious. You know, you're not expecting to come together and be the same. But when you look the same, sometimes you think it'll be easy, and it's not, because you still come from different homes, even if it's the same tribe. The way you were brought up may still be very different in your individual homes. So that was an interesting perspective. And to sum it up, I guess I'd say look for the positives. You know, there's so many blessings that come from, you know, understanding multiple cultures. And since, you know, we're really, in many ways, we have lived in both cultures, we're able to do that.
Okay. So in other words, those of us who are married to people in our cultures tend to take things for granted. Just assume that because we are from the same place, then we should just have the same kind of understanding and attitude to things.
Yeah, the expectations are higher when they're from the same place.
Okay.
If you don't have such an expectation, it makes it even obvious. It makes obvious that, look, we are different. So, for me, I don't know where I got that training before that says, you know, in cross-cultural mission, you know, like some missionaries will go to a different culture and just feel that my culture is superior. So let me help out these people that are, you know, that are languishing in this kind of culture. Say, no, cultures are not inferior. You know, they say it is not bad, it's just different. There are so many aspects in a culture that, you know, there's nothing bad with it. But being from another culture, I may feel like, oh, if it doesn't happen, if they're not doing it the way I'm used to, that means I will condemn it. So it is different. And understanding it will make you even, you know, appreciate and make the other culture like an adventure. There are very many goods in people's culture, even the people we think they are, you know, totally different from us. So I don't know whether that question is also applicable to me. Okay. Yeah. Cultures are not bad because culture is just not, there's nothing bad inherently. There are so many goods in a culture. It is just different from mine. With humility, I need to learn. You know, I don't have my culture is not superior. Igbo culture is not superior to any culture. You know, just like in Africa and Nigeria, different types. But there are many things. I would advise every cross-culturally married people focus on those good aspects of that culture. Focus on it, and you will have less stress.
All right. Thank you. I want to also, because there's one area, an American woman who more, because of your culturally, is more forward.
Yeah.
More likely to voice her opinion. Whereas in Africa, in Nigeria, you're supposed to be quiet. Bernard, how have you handled that with Ron?
Well, I would say that aspect is really what I loved in the first instance. I didn't, you know, I didn't say how we met, but the very first time, what led me to her was her, you know, being vocal. I wasn't even seeing her face. We were in this conference, she was sitting right in front, and I was at the back or close to the back. And the person who came to take missionaries over this crisis management, you know, after this crisis, Christian and Muslim, was a retired military man from US. So he was teaching a lot of things. What do you do when your children are kidnapped? What do you do when you yourself, you are in a hostage situation? So she was in front, raising hand. Any question, she would raise hand and ask question. And the question she was asking was like, everybody in the hall would say, yeah, that's true. That's true, that's true. So over and over. So with her boldness, asking this military man question, and I was at the back watching, I wasn't seeing her face. I was like, wow, this woman, I would like to get to know her. I would like to get to know this woman. So although now that we are married, when she comes that way, I feel overwhelmed. I was like, even though that it can be excessive sometimes anyway. But later she told me that, well, not she told me, I know that her father was a journalist. She wrote for Boston Herald, covering political things in America for the past how many years. So it's just that kind of nature. So she can ask me like 5 questions in 1 second. And I'll just shake my head and say, okay. But that is something. I mean, it's not really bad. It's not bad per se, but just in this issue of this blending. I know when I say, okay, let's cook food, that's a kind of food we cook. She'll be asking, we Nigerians, we know that you don't measure something like you use 1 millimeter of salt and you put in this volume of water and all those. How quantity of this? How quantity of, I said, I don't even know how to, just put and see how it comes out, test it gradually. But with all this wanting to know facts, sometimes you can just like, oh, this one is too much. And in such instances, I'll just tell her, like, yeah, this is getting overboard. So, yeah, they are like that. And I would say I have learned to upgrade my
Around you, comment?
Well, yeah, this question aspect has definitely been a theme to some extent, but earlier in our marriage, we had a situation where he was serving as the director of the region, of the Southeast region at that time. And so, I mean, of course, I'm his wife, but I'm also, a staff under his direction. So in staff meetings, as an American, I was ready to just ask and clarify and everything. He's like, one day after when we were back at home, he's like, that comes across as like you're attacking me, and you need to back off, especially in a public setting like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I tried. I don't know that I it was a process, the learning process. So
yeah.
So that definitely, I think, was a case where, based on my cultural understanding, it didn't feel disrespectful or challenging to me.
Yeah.
But the whole idea, and I think for most of you, that would be clear. The whole idea of a query.
Yeah.
Nigerian culture is very different, where here in America, yeah, you ask questions, like it's just a question. But to be questioned, especially to question someone in authority, has a whole lot packed behind it that it took me a little while to absorb.
Sometimes it comes with a penalty. Thank God he was good to tell you. So, in some cases, it comes with penalty. All right. Those of you on Facebook, if you have questions, you can put on the chat. Although we are already running out of time, you can just send us as a message if we can add to this. But let me, there's a question here somebody sent. Okay, let me ask this. In-laws may not be much of a problem for the American. At 18, you're supposed to be on your own. But for a Nigerian, you have all these long queues of people that look up to you. So how have you been able to manage this?
Okay, from you or from me? I mean, in-laws.
Well, how do we manage the in-law?
Okay, well, yeah, like the side of Igbo land I came from, you know, when a wife is married into the clan. You know, I know one day my older brother, who is now late, was, oh, our wife, you know, no, it's talking about my wife, how are you? You know, she came back. I said, why is he calling me my wife? I'm not his wife. So I said, this is a cultural thing. I mean, you are married into a clan. You're married into a clan. And, you know, people from the area were so, oh, our wife, how are you? So it took her time to get it. So, and, you know, her own people are also, I mean, the in-law thing, as a family thing, when it comes to marriage, is not as pronounced. It's not that, in fact, there was one of the uncles, the father's brother, the last born of the father's family. What's his name again?
Sure.
Jerry. One time I was coming to US and he came to pick me from the train. I was in the train station and I said, oh, are you Bernard? I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I said, what? Don't call me sir. Just call, my name is Jerry. My name is Jerry. I'm not trying to respect him like an in-law. You know, no, my name is Jerry. So many, in fact, I said it not less than 5 times. I'm just talking. Hey, yes, sir. You see that? He's much older than me. That's our tradition. He said, no, my name is Jerry. Don't put any sir when you call me, you know. So, and he was even the one talking to me and said, you know that our family has a history of divorce, including the wife you want. I'm grateful that you want to come and marry into this family. Are you not concerned? I said, no, I have prayed. God has, you know, led me. And I know our case is different from. So this is not what an in-law from my own side, just trying to, you know, make everything. Look at what this family is all about. I mean, are you sure you come to marry a family full of divorce? You know, the father divorced, this brother divorced, like this and that. So, yeah, but our own, we tend to like, you know, cuddle. But theirs is somehow, this is what it is. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. We are really running out of time, but I will ask one more question before the last question. And then I during the COVID, I was in a seminar like this, and the lady was speaking, and she's been married, I think, for close to 40 years. Then she said when the lockdown came and she had to, apparently they work from different locations with the husband, and both of them had to stay together for an extended period of time. She was afraid that maybe conflict will arise. And then there was also another one. This one, the lady told me in person that she wasn't the fact that they were married for so many years, maybe close to 20, was because they were living apart because of their jobs. That if they were living in the same house, it's likely they would have divorced long before then. But here are two of you that your employers demanded that you must work in the same ministry, and then you're virtually working together every time. How do you manage this close proximity every time? In fact, in one of my posts, I called it marriage that is sustained by minimum contacts.
Marriage sustained by minimum contact.
And because they just come and then tensions begin to build up, they go their ways for a time and then they think simmers down before they come back. But you live together every time and how do you cope?
Well, we were blessed, but one of the ministries under Campus Crusade is called Family Life. And it's all about, creating better marriages. Particularly, they have a weekend conference called the Weekend to Remember. So we went on one of those this past year, the Weekend to Remember conference. And it's all about taking steps towards intimacy, that you want to intentionally grow and become more intimate rather than growing apart. So that's the main point with whatever we're doing. I mean, I think we serve on two different teams. So even though, we're staying together and part of the same general ministry, we have different roles and we're on different teams. And I think that's actually been good for us to have some things that are a little bit different, some, kind of different workspace. But either way, just kind of remembering to communicate and talk together and intentionally build that intimacy is the most important aspect.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how people prefer staying apart, to sustain marriage. I don't know it, but yeah, we have seen people who intentionally just separate, maybe because of work, and they are happy about it. So me, I'm not happy. Sometimes when I am away, I tend to travel more than her. So, but in those times, I was like, oh my goodness, because we do many things together, and my mind will always be, I know my wife is being stressed over this area because I'm not around. I know children, taking care of children. I mean, this all falling on her. So, if I'm away most of the time, I'm not at ease. I'm not very much at ease. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you so very much. The last question I have. Both of you work for CRU. Can you tell us a bit about this organization and in case there are people here who are interested? What do you do? And then if I wanted to get involved, what are such opportunities for people who are working, not coming full-time like yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, and I pray that all of you, please come and join. That call that the harvest is plentiful and the laborers are few is still true today. It's still very, very, very true. So CRU, that is the name it answers in America here, but it's an organization, international organization known by the name Campus Crusade for Christ. The word campus is because it originated from the university campus, the University of Los Angeles in California. So originally, to reach college students, they believe that people who are in the university form the powerful 1% of the society. So when you reach this powerful 1%, in a nutshell, it's like a pyramid. Their influence tend to go down instead of starting from the grassroots. However, college students graduated and are working in different places. So does Campus Crusade now get into the society, so that now there are over how many organizations, how many sub-organizations under Campus Crusade?
Many. I actually don't know the number, but
at the time there were like up to 60.
Yeah, so
60.
several different ministries come under the umbrella of CRU, Family Life that I mentioned, Jesus Film that we are both working with.
Campus is still there.
There's a military ministry, a ministry focused on the arts. Campus is still very much there. So variety.
There's Athletes in Action, focusing on athletes. There's Josh McDowell Ministry. Josh McDowell is an apologetic. man who defends Christian faith, debates here and there with Muslims. There is executive, like people.
But
Okay, so
sorry, yeah. But in broad strokes, whichever group the missionary is targeting, Campus Crusade is about evangelism and discipleship.
right.
And probably a little more focused on the evangelism side, really intentionally wanting to be sure that everybody has had the opportunity to hear about Jesus. And with the Jesus film, we say that we want everyone to see Jesus because it's a film. It's the Gospel of Luke made into a 2-hour film. Currently is in over 2,100 languages.
Yeah, 2,106.
Yeah, we just
2016 something. 106. Anyway, that's the film that has been translated more than any other film in the world. It's in Guinness Book of Records, but it has always been an important tool in doing evangelism all around the world. We partner with many agencies to do that.
So how can we lay our hands on these films?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, there's you can go to jesusfilm.org.
Okay.
And there's an app, and that'll also give you access to the app you can download on your phone. It's free.
Okay.
And it includes not only all the 2,100 languages, but there are discipleship videos. There's one called a series called Walking with Jesus.
Walking with Jesus.
Which is set in it was filmed in Kenya, so it's set in an African village setting. Just looking at what does it mean to really live our life for Jesus. Then there are short films. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, it transferred. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is on my phone.
Okay.
Right.
So from Google Store, you can get this.
Yes. Play Store.
Yeah, either or whatever you use with an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
You
can get it. You can either search this app. You can search languages or search countries. You can access languages through just typing the language, or
there's a map.
There is a map. You can also from there pull out a map of the country that you are reaching, and you want to show the feeling and get to their language. So it will tell you the number of languages in that country that have been translated.
And the app has not only the full-length films, but also little clips.
Little clips.
So you can see, maybe you just want to share with someone the story of Jesus calming the storm. So it'll show just that story. Or, the woman at the well, whatever individual little story, maybe the Christmas story or the Easter story, you can send just, that 2 or 3 minute clip as well. And
some of them are just starters, it doesn't have really any Bible story, but it does to start a conversation with somebody. Maybe you're sitting with somebody waiting for something, or on the aeroplane. You can say, pull out that conversation starter. Some of them doesn't even talk. You say, what do you think about this? So just to start conversation that will lead into evangelism.
All right.
Others for children, this last time we went to New York, we used the one for children in different Asian languages. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I've seen, for those of you in the Middle East, there's the Arabic version also. So you can download, I think it will help. Before we maybe just put on our cameras and then take a screenshot, let me launch a poll. I want you to just, it's just it's not up to a minute. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so please just respond to it. All of you, I hope everybody can see it. Okay. Okay, 100%. Go to question number, addition number 2. Okay, let me see. Answered 0%. Let me just see, okay. Okay. While we are doing that, while I'm waiting for those taking the polls to be completed, but Bernard and Sister Ron, thank you so very much for giving us your time and being so open and generous. I hope this has been will be helpful to those of us who are also starting. For those of you who joined much later, Bernard and Ron have been in this business for 20 years. Whatever career you're in, 20 years is a major experience. So you cannot be regarded as a starter. So they've shared invaluable tips with us, things that they share with vulnerability and as necessary, so that we see that the marriages that work are actually made to work. But one thing I can take from what they say, regardless of the culture, they are Christians, they took the Bible seriously. They took the Bible seriously. So thank you very much, everyone. I will end the poll at this point. And then
I wish I see some faces.
yeah, we are going to do that. We're going to do that right away. Please, can you put on your cameras?
Especially at dark.
Please put on your cameras and then let's just take a screen. So some of you have been hearing of Bernard and Ron before. So this is how they look. Some of you, I think, Nedi and some. They were the missionaries who were supporting in the Gambia at some point.
Yeah, I know that. Good evening. Good evening.
Hi, Bernard. Hi, Ron.
Hello.
Yes.
You've been blessed to be part of the ministry of in Gambia.
Yes.
Yeah, we are grateful. Good to see you guys.
Good to see your faces. Yeah.
I will,
Outside.
So Doha, you know, if you are still in Doha, right?
you mean me?
No, the like brother Emidi Ekon.
Nedi Ebong.
You are
Except Emmanuel. Emmanuel is in London. The rest are in Doha.
okay.
Deborah Itodo and Edwin Itodo. And Eddie David, all of them are in Doha.
Wow.
Emmanuel is in London. And Ron and Bernard are in Orlando, Florida. So those of you who will be going for John Maxwell certification, you can call them and they'll come and see you wherever you are.
Oh my goodness.
Bernard is very, and Ron are very good at that. They came to see me in the hotel.
That is true. That is true.
So thank you very much for sparing the time and sharing your experiences with us.
Wow. Thank
Thank
you.
you. We joined a bit late because of our fellowship.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. God bless. So
All
here
right.
we end
God
for
bless
today.
you.
It's likely we'll
so
meet
much.
again with another couple 10th of December, but I'm trying to finalize with them.
Okay.
All right.
All right. God bless
God
everyone.
bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
God bless.
Yeah.
Bye.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much. God bless. Right, maybe.